Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Indie Alaska is a groundbreaking series that dives into the lives of people living in the last frontier. Each episode introduces you to colorful characters from around the state. Funding for Indie Alaska is provided in part by Alyeska Pipeline Service Company. Catch the latest episodes at alaskapublic.org.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for this Saturday's show. Satellite imagery yesterday showed a lot of clearing here over the southeast coast and then back to the west, a big plume of moisture extending from southwest up to the northeast there. Gradually the whole thing moving eastward. We had a weakening storm system up here over the northwest Bering, and by this time yesterday all the high surf advisories had ended. A couple more bands of moisture here off the coast there, gradually moving eastward, then a breakout behind. And today you can see this band is a little narrower than before, but quite a lot of cloudiness up in over the interior with rain passing by Kodiak Island ending earlier today, and some clearing back along the Alaska Peninsula, also over the Pribilof Islands. You can see how this weakens as it moves eastward, becoming narrower and actually beginning to get a few holes in the cloud cover here, but still a pretty good day over the southeast coast, although the clouds gathering there just to the west, and trough right through here, another one kind of enhancing the showers out to the west there. And then that first front really weakening now as it drags across the central Aleutians, starting to edge its way in toward the Pribilofs. Another one back out here to the west that's a little stronger. On the chart, here's roughly the position of that weakening front, and then one developing back to the west there. And the rainfall areas of light rain from the central Aleutians up to the north into the Bering Sea. Showers with this trough along the southwest coast, actually keeping it kind of wet. Occasional rain there, Bethel on up across the Yukon Delta. And this trough bringing the rain into Prince William Sound, eventually getting into Cordova this afternoon. But still a lot of sunshine over the southeast coast. An area of rain up to the Susitna Valley, all the way up across the central interior into Bettles, with some rain showers reported along the eastern Arctic coast at Dead Horse and also scattered here across the northwest interior. Dense fog this afternoon at Nome. Visibility is down to a quarter mile at times at the airport there. But rainfall amounts pretty good, pretty significant. 1.5 inches falling at Seward in the last 24 hours, while Talkeetna picked up about 0.9 of an inch. For tonight, that weak low center and the remnants of the moisture brings chance of rain into the North Gulf Coast there, maybe an increase in the clouds over the northern panhandle. It stays pretty fair down to the south. Surface high pressure, but still some scattered shower conditions. Rainfall becoming more showery this evening and then gradually diminishing overnight. Look for some patchy fog in areas of scattered rain or snow showers up over the interior there in this pink shaded area. And then a weak front dropping down out of the Arctic there may bring a band of very light snow or flurries with patchy fog there across the north slope in the Arctic coast, and a break here along the southwest coast, but still occasional rain up here over the Norton Sound and the Seward Peninsula. Chance of rain over the Pribilofs edging in towards Nikolsky. And this next front out here to the west, actually another one pulls into from off the map there to about that position tomorrow, increasing the winds and rain through the western, eventually into the central Aleutians. Moisture with that old front, just a weak trough now, bring a few showers into the eastern Aleutians, back up to possibly as far north as Nunivak Island. A little stronger feature back here up to the north and northwest, so gusty winds, rain across St. Lawrence Island up to the Bering Strait. Just some isolated showers, mostly cloudy skies across south central Alaska tomorrow, with partly to mostly cloudy skies back to the west and over the Copper River Basin. Chance of rain still for Yakutat or scattered showers down along possibly as far south as Sitka, but the remainder, most of the panhandle will be variably cloudy and dry. Scattered rain and snow showers over the north central interior, and still possibility of some very light snow up along the north slope areas. And the forecast for Monday, that low consolidates and moves right up to just west of Nunivak Island, and ahead of the front, gale force winds from Cape Newenham northward along the coast all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Southeast winds 35 knots across this whole area, with rain gradually edging its way inland. Chance of some moisture there for Kodiak Island with mostly cloudy skies. Otherwise partly sunny, becoming mostly sunny across southern Alaska, the Copper River Basin. Look for some clearing also up over the Tanana Valley, possibly the Yukon as well. And then still some rain and snow south of the warm front there, with that frontal boundary up over the northwest interior, and to a lesser extent as far as the moisture goes. It should be mostly in the form of snow there, but amounts will be quite light and not amount too much at all. Another dry day, variably cloudy and definitely dry with light winds over the southeast coast. Temperatures today down that way, upper 40s to mid 50s, although Stewart and Annette reached 59 this afternoon. A cooler 48 at Yakutat, 37 with rain in Valdez, but Cordova up to 46, 48 in Kenai, 50 there at Homer. Kodiak up to 52, 36 at Talkeetna, 39 over at Gulkana in the Copper River Basin, 33 with a little snow today at Northway, 32 with also some snow, a little more snow at Eagle, and then upper 30s here through the Tanana Valley area with 39 at Tanana, 35 at Bettles, Anatuvik up to freezing, but Arctic Village just 21 earlier today, 36 at Fort Yukon. The Arctic coast in the lower to mid 30s, much of the area there up to near 40 back toward Point Hope, and then upper 40s, Buckland up to 48 today, while Kotzebue had 40 degrees, 43 in Nome with a fog, 50 degrees in Bethel, rain and fog, 45 at McGrath, and also at Galena with 49 degrees there at St. Mary's, and Makoriuk at 48. Out to the southwest, upper 40s and near 50 over the Pribilofs. All of the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula in the lower to mid 50s there. That extends right up into Bristol Bay. For the lows tonight, upper 30s to lower 40s over the Panhandle, coolest in the north though, and 30s across southern Alaska, south central Alaska, Copper River Basin, upper 20s all the way north to Arctic Village, low 19. Otherwise 20s, mid to upper 20s here for the Arctic coast. Milder, as you can see, down to the south and southwest, with lower 40s here across the Bristol Bay area, out along the Aleutians to near 50 at Adak. For the highs tomorrow, mid 50s here for the Aleutians, and upper 40s to lower 50s over the southwest interior. Lower 30s for the Arctic coast, and also through the Brooks Range. Mid 40s here for the Tanana Valley, back out to the Seward Peninsula, and 50s over the Panhandle. Flying weather, look for some marginal VFR here along the coast tomorrow, again with the remnants of that moisture working eastward. They're actually following the jet right into the area there with the IFR. It looks like will stay off the coast there, and marginal VFR across Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, back along the western Alaska Range. Central Alaska Range could see some IFR conditions, as well as the mountains there north of Fairbanks. Band of IFR with that frontal boundary there along the north slope and eastern Arctic coast, and then a big area of IFR here from the Bering Strait southward to the Pribilofs, right into the central Aleutian areas with marginal VFR across the Alaska Peninsula, but breaking out here over the southwest interior and also along Kotzebue Sound and the northern Seward Peninsula. Passes look like this for Anatuvik. Marginal VFR tomorrow. Adigan, same forecast, marginal at times. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR on either entrance. Rainy, same forecast from windy as well, marginal VFR. And for Isabel, conditions looking marginal. And for Mentasta, VFR tomorrow, it looks like at this point in time, Tanita starting out marginal, becoming VFR, probably by early afternoon at the latest. And Portage, marginal VFR. For Chilkoot and White, look for VFR. Freezing levels still showing about a 6,000 foot contrast here from the northern Panhandle down toward Dixon Entrance, where they're as high as 12,000 feet. And otherwise over the mainland areas, we've got 2,000 feet roughly through the central interior, and then 6,000 feet down across Kodiak Island through Bristol Bay. And then warmer temperatures back out over the central Aleutian areas up to 10,000 feet. And for icing tomorrow, kind of area of light to isolated moderate rime up over the northwest interior, and also possibly along that frontal boundary. You could see some icing up there over the north slope and eastern Arctic coast. Patch of icing possible here over the southeast Bering Sea, also over the west central Aleutian areas, and then a little more significant band of icing here through kind of slipping into the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island area, then extending off back toward the southwest. And for the winds aloft, a strong jet here out over the western Pacific splits here over the western Bering Sea with a stronger branch taking off to the southeast around this low to the south, well to the south of Kodiak Island, but coming back up and westerlies at about 100 knots right through the panhandle. So that's going to carry some of that moisture in over the northern areas tomorrow. Then a weaker flow at about 50 knots, mostly from the west through the central interior. And then some colder air beginning to slide on down to the south toward the eastern Arctic coast. Probably not so much tomorrow, but toward Sunday or toward Monday or the first of next week. And the southwesterly flow at 9,000 feet, pretty evident here, 25 to 30 knots there, back to about 20 knots coming into the southwest interior, and 20 to 25 knots up over the northeast interior, more variable and lighter along the Arctic coast, and kind of a variable condition, really light here across southern Alaska and into the Gulf there, but northwesterlies across the panhandle. 3,000-foot winds showing this low up over the northeast Gulf quite nicely with northwest winds 15 to, or actually 20 knots on the south coast. These would be southerlies here in conjunction with this low, but quite light. Lynn Canal, very light and variable over southern Alaska. Southwesterlies 10 to 20 knots. And then the stronger winds out here to the west, 30 to 35 knots there along the Yukon Delta coast and through the Bering Strait, extending back toward the western Aleutians. That's where you'll find any significant turbulence will be the western Seward Peninsula across St. Lawrence Island, occasional widespread moderate chop there, and then lighter down toward the Pribilofs to the Fox Islands, all below 6,000 feet, and then more moderate turbulence coming into the western Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Realizing I was the last guy to try to exit, I took my last breath of air off the carpet and took a dive for the window. Of course, I can't hold my breath for too long. Kind of a cold shock coming upon me, so I wiggled out the window myself. And the three of us found ourselves on the clinging to the hull of our upside-down vessel.
Stability accounts for 35% of vessel losses. The lives of your crew and the welfare of their families depends on the stability of the vessel.
This flying bridge would raise that height consideration.
A naval architect should develop stability guidance for your vessel, and the recommendations should be followed.
What we need to do is just make sure that the boat...
Most smaller vessels do not have stability books, and there is even less room for air in small boats. The stability of your vessel depends on the weight of your loaded vessel pushing it down into the water, and buoyancy pushing it out of the water. Your vessel has a center of gravity and a center of buoyancy that can be calculated by a naval architect. Center of gravity is where the total geometric weight of the vessel is centered or concentrated. Its location is raised, lowered, or moved outboard depending on where things are placed. Center of buoyancy is the geometric center of the submerged portion of your vessel. Its location changes as the vessel heels. In addition, the effect of the sea on your vessel causes the center of buoyancy to shift continuously. If your center of gravity shifts much further horizontally than your center of buoyancy, you will capsize.
I remember the boat didn't feel right. It felt very, very tippy, if you will. It just felt precariously balanced on this one swell, and there was a cross chop coming across, and it slapped the ass end of the boat right about midship, and it popped us right off the top, and we came down on our side, and it popped all the windows out on the port side.
The compromise a fisherman seeks is a safe working deck and a vessel that is stable. There are 9 steps you can take to increase the operational stability of your vessel. Improper loading will decrease your stability. Keep your tanked liquids at correct levels and make sure that fishing gear and fish are properly and securely stowed.
Balanced load. How many hours do you run on each fuel tank? All sorts of things play into consideration.
Don't use ballast tanks as a way to improve the roll of your vessel unless it is permitted by stability guidance. The vessel may feel safer under normal conditions, but it could reduce your overall stability due to lowering your freeboard.
So we put fuel in the stern and don't load the bow tank in the wintertime. You know, we don't put any fuel in the bow tank to keep the bow up and the stern down a little bit to even our load.
Never overload your vessel, no matter how good the fishing or weather. Overloading decreases freeboard and is the cause of many fatalities. Follow your stability guidance and use common sense. All stability is vessel specific. Don't assume you can safely load your vessel like your buddies, even if similar in size and gear type. Slack water or fuel in tanks will decrease stability due to free surface effect. Loose fish in the hold or on deck has the same free surface effect as a liquid. A liquid, or a load of fish sloshing across a wide space, has the effect of quickly changing the center of gravity from side to side.
Any checkers or bin boards? No, we were trying to fill the entire hold in one big load of herring. As we added, the boat would naturally go toward the outboard side because that was the direction in which the boat was listing, and the boom is trying to counteract that but can't completely boom. So.
To prevent sudden changes in gravity, be sure that all gear that can shift is secure. To prevent a sudden shift in fluids or fish in the hold, changes in gravity have strong bin boards and checkers. Keep all port and starboard tank pair cross connections closed while underway. Minimize the number of slack tanks. In general, keep just 1 fuel and 1 water tank slack. Keep other tanks either empty or pressed up full. Water on deck can be a major source of free surface effect. Be sure that freeing ports are large and can drain water on deck quickly. And make sure that freeing ports and scuppers remain free and unplugged by fish or debris. Even in good weather, a hang-up can cause water on deck, then make it difficult to open ports. For your vessel to maintain its full stability, prevent water flowing from one compartment to the next. Water in places where it does not belong reduces reserve buoyancy. Reserve buoyancy is what allows vessels to recover from a severe roll if flooding can be prevented. However, if downflooding occurs through open hatches or doorways, it is more difficult for vessels to recover.
They left the aft door open. There was an interior door that was always propped open. These factors combined with also an open hatch allowed a rapid downflooding when she had laid over on her right side to about 3 tons of water per second was rushing through those doors. It made it nearly impossible for any crew to escape, and once the downflooding started, it ran through those 2 doors which were in alignment and then downflooded into the engine room and showed that she sank in 4 to 10 minutes. And I would lean more towards the 4-minute side.
It is the responsibility of all crew members to keep watertight doors and hatches closed and dogged, and seals in good repair. There should also be a way to secure all hatch covers so a wave cannot carry them away and expose the opening to downflooding. Keep watertight bulkheads watertight to keep water from flowing from one compartment to another.
Watertight doors or weathertight doors are essential that they remain shut when the vessel's in foul weather or crossing a bar or any unusual circumstance. That you need to maintain that watertight envelope because obviously the ship is your island and you need to keep it afloat.
High water alarms should be fitted in all watertight spaces. Alarms should be kept free of debris and tested regularly. Consider a regular visual patrol of all spaces for signs of flooding and fire. The rapid accumulation of ice on rigging and structures will raise your center of gravity and can rapidly decrease the stability of your vessel, resulting in a capsize.
I woke up all the guys. I said, all right, I want everybody up. We're going to get this ice off here before we get to Cape Chiniak. Then we'll get to Cape Chiniak and take a look at it. We took out baseball bats, crowbars, and beat the ice off. And basically the only place we had ice was on the bow. We had no ice on the gear because we covered the gear with tarps.
While a possible solution to icing, neither heading further out to sea to seek warmer water or racing into port may be a viable option. Whatever the decision, get crew knocking ice from the vessel immediately. Make sure your freeing ports and scuppers stay free from ice and debris. Slow the vessel down to slow the accumulation of ice. Maneuver the vessel so that it lessens the buildup of ice. Keep close communications with nearby vessels and search and rescue. Prepare survival equipment and prepare for a sudden capsize. If working in waters potentially exposed to icing conditions, position survival gear in sheltered areas.
Marine forecast for the waters of the eastern Gulf of Alaska.
But one's best alternative is to pay attention to weather reports and avoid icing conditions.
Cape Fairweather to Cape Suckling. Tonight, storm warning. Northeast wind.
Welcome back. Well, today's ice analysis is not too different from yesterday with the newer ice here along the eastern Arctic coast, and the ice edge back up through this area through Wednesday is expected to expand southwestward about 20 nautical miles, and then colder air is dropping into this portion of the area here. So this will begin filling in a little more rapidly first of next week and toward Wednesday. Moving on to the marine forecasts here, northwesterlies 20 knots for Clarence Strait tomorrow with 4-foot seas, with the low off the north coast here. Kind of a variable wind pattern, southeast to northeast, 10 to 15 knots, but all quite light, west to northwest down to the south. Lynn Canal, northern Lynn Canal, south at 15, Stevens Passage, north at 15. And the outlook for Monday, northerly winds for the most part here out along the outer coastline, 10 to 15 knots, and northerlies over the central and southern inside waters at about the same speed, but Lynn Canal, they're forecasting winds to pick up to 25 knots, so small craft advisories there for the northern canal on Monday. And for tomorrow, north 10, becoming variable there for Prince William Sound, northeast 15 for the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, we've got light variable winds through Cook Inlet, Kamishak Bay, Shelikof Strait there, the Barren Islands, all around Kodiak tomorrow, so really laid down pretty good as high pressure builds right over the area. And then for Monday, still pretty light on the winds, although beginning to respond to the falling pressures farther back to the west there. So northeasterlies 10 to 15 through Cook Inlet, more of an easterly wind at 15 knots for the Barren Islands or Kamishak Bay, and also along the east side of Kodiak Island. Otherwise, the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, light variable winds for the next couple of days. And for Bristol Bay, westerlies at 10, south winds increasing to 20 knots here on the north side of the peninsula, but from Cape Saratchev all the way up to Sitkinak tomorrow, look for variable winds at 10 knots with 5 to 6 foot seas. And for Monday, small craft advisories, most areas here up to 25 to 30 knots out of the south across the Alaska Peninsula, southeast 25 for Bristol Bay. And out over the Aleutians, eastern Aleutians, southerlies 20 to 25 knots with 6 to 9 foot seas there. We've got some gale force winds here through the west central Aleutians. Adak and Atka, southerlies at about 30 knots with 6 to 10 foot seas. And then for Monday, westerly winds 20 knots from Atka all the way out to Shimia, and then small craft advisories on those westerlies 25 to 30 knots there from the central Aleutians all the way across the Fox Islands. And for the southwest coast tomorrow, small craft advisories, 25 to 30 knot winds there, right up across St. Lawrence Island, 25 knot winds here from the Pribilofs up across the northern Bering Sea. And then for Monday, with that front next low center coming right up to the coast, we've got gale warnings out there again from Cape Newenham all the way up to St. Lawrence Island, 8 to 11 foot seas there. Westerlies at 25 knots with 12 foot seas for the Pribilofs and a pretty brisk southwest wind for St. Matthew Island. Up along the Arctic coast, north to northeast at 15 knots here for the eastern stretch of the coastline. Pretty light in the central coast, and then we've got some small craft advisories from Wales to Cape Thompson there for southerlies at about 25 knots. And then looking at Monday, still no change here. Small craft advisories hold at 25, but significantly stronger winds for the central and western Arctic coast, right out of the east at 30 knots with seas at about 6 feet. And those east winds diminish here as you head east along the eastern coastline there toward Demarcation Point, and they drop off to about 15. And for tonight again, weak Arctic front here could bring some light snow or flurries with patchy fog to the north slope and Arctic coast. Otherwise, areas of light rain, snow, or showers here in the pink shaded area up over the north central interior. Showers diminishing, scattering out here over south central Alaska, kind of lingering along the Alaska Range back into Bristol Bay. Leftover moisture edging eastward toward the North Gulf Coast, and a band of moisture pushing in toward the Pribilofs. That really weakens considerably, just a few showers. Some rain and gusty winds St. Lawrence Island up to the Bering Strait, but drying out, mostly cloudy. A few isolated showers south central Alaska. Chance of showers in North Gulf Coast and Northwest Panhandle. Otherwise, a pretty nice day over the southwest interior. And then on Tuesday, this low pressure areas combined move up to the southwest coast for more wind and rain. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.